someone and make an exception for them and go, oh, well, you're the most beautiful, so just because of your beauty, you get X, Y, and Z. Oh, you're the youngest, and just solely because you're the youngest, X, Y, and Z. And the rest of them don't get any opportunity like that because they're just too old. They're too unattractive. I believe that God is an amazing God where God sees a value in a person. He completely sees past the physical appearance. He sees the inward of the person. He sees their inward parts. He sees their heart. He knows every aspect of a person's being. He knows all their thoughts. He knows all their intentions. And it's something that is absolutely beautiful. That God, whether a person is young, whether a person is old, God will not discard that person just because they turn a certain age. God will not disregard that person just because they turn 30. Once a woman turns 30, God's plan doesn't stop for her. It doesn't stop for any Christian. I mean, depending when you accepted Jesus Christ. But, I mean, if you accepted him at 40, 50, 60, 70, it's the same. It's not like that person's too old and now God can't use them anymore. And one of the things that I actually really like is when you go back to scripture, so many of the people, and I'm not saying that that was the case for everyone, but so many people waited until a certain age to start doing something in their life. It was at a certain age where God had things appointed for them. So I absolutely love that God, it's not like, oh, well, you're 30 now. You're too old. You're too old for ministry. You're too old to be used. You're too old for evangelizing. You're too old for missionary work. You're too old for a family. You're too old to start over. You're too old for a new beginning. If God can give Sarah the opportunity to birth at an old age, who is man to say that a woman can no longer have anything anymore? Who is man to say that God's sovereign hand and God's sovereignty cannot go past anything like that? And we're not disregarding natural things, because obviously there are some things that are absolutely natural you want to take into consideration. If you throw yourself from a building, there's gravity. You're going to be pulled down. I'm sorry, you fall flat on your face, you might just get injured or even die. Well, not you, but the person that were to throw themselves. We also know that we serve a God that he has his timing. He has his plan. His thoughts are not our thoughts. The way he views things is not the way we view things in a humanly form. We view things, and a lot of it is subjected to time, which God himself created. And he is not subject to time. He is not bound to time. Human flesh is bound to time, but God is not bound to time. I believe that God has a perfect plan for each and every individual. I believe that he has appointed times for each and every individual. And those appointed times can be certain things for a person. And there are seasons. And one person's season of singlehood might be longer than someone else's. And what God has ordained, what God has willed to purpose to come to pass, nothing will be able to stop that. If God has willed and purpose for a woman to get married at an older age, not old, because the world wants to make it seem like this woman is pretty much like 30 is the new 90. People pretty much want to see like 30 is the new 90, but only for women. For men, 30 is like the new 20. They're full of youth and agile. But for women, they're like a sack of potatoes that pretty much went past its prime, is not ripe anymore. It's too ripe. But that's not the case. The case is that God has planned and purposed everything the way he has it planned and purpose. He has it in such a way where nothing will be able to withstand his hand. And if he has purpose for a woman to get married at an older age, which is still not old. 30s is not old. 30s is not old.